Toy Story is the most important film to have been released in the past 30 years. A bold statement, you might say, but I don't think it is. I don't think any other film has had the influence on cinema in recent years that Toy Story has. The Bourne Identity, The Matrix, both have been very influential in the genres of action movies and sci-fi, but Toy Story really stands apart. Toy Story was released in 1995, and I saw it in the cinema in the summer after I finished university and was about to start full-time work. And it was written exactly for people like me. On the face of it, Toy Story is a children's movie, but like all the best children's movies and indeed children's fiction, it's written for adults as well. And you can watch it as a child and watch it as an adult and still get a lot out of it. It's written for people like me who are reaching the end of their prolonged childhood and were dipping their toe into adult life. It's written for people who have mixed emotions, regrets about the loss of their childhood innocence, their fears, their anxieties, their excitement about adulthood stretching ahead of them. And this liminality between childhood and adulthood is at the heart of many of Pixar's later releases. Toy Story was the first full-length film to be made by Pixar, and it was the first film to be made entirely using CGI, computer-generated images. And that's what makes it so important. It created an entirely new genre, and one that has been incredibly successful. 4 of the top 10 grossing films since 1995 have all been made by Pixar. The film critic Mark Kermode describes Toy Story as perfect. In fact, I think the only other film that he rates almost near Toy Story is The Exorcist, and we're not doing that on the Lent course this year. And so on to the film itself. Andy is a young boy in America who has a variety of favourite toys, a bit like the ones behind me in Isaac's bedroom. And he has one very special toy, Woody, voiced by Tom Hanks, a cowboy who speaks with the aid of a pull string. The film opens with Andy's birthday party. The toys are gathered around, anxiously waiting to see which new toys Andy might be given. And they're fearful that the new toy means that one of them might be supplanted. Woody, secure in his status as most favoured toy, seeks to reassure them. It doesn't matter how much we're played with. What matters is that we are here for Andy when he needs us, he says. Noble words that prove devastatingly untrue for Woody when Andy is given a new toy, Buzz Lightyear, a space ranger who can do all manner of things at the press of a button. It soon becomes clear that it is Woody who is in danger of being supplanted. He responds by forming an intense dislike for Buzz Lightyear. Woody and Buzz then become the 2 main protagonists in the film, each in turn undergoing a psychological crisis. Woody's crisis is that he is no longer the only object of Andy's affections. Buzz Lightyear's crisis is the discovery that he is not in fact the Buzz Lightyear capable of flying, laser shooting and of saving the universe, but is in fact no more than a toy, one of hundreds of thousands mass-produced. Both of them, therefore, suffer a crisis of identity and self-esteem, although from different causes. Through a series of misadventures, Woody and Buzz end up in the bedroom of Andy's neighbour, a young boy who tortures and dismembers toys. As in all the best movies, Woody and Buzz have to work together in order to escape. Buzz, having now found out that he is not capable of saving himself, let alone the universe, falls into a catatonic state of depression, and the duo look doomed. It is only when Woody points out to Buzz that they both have Andy's name inscribed on the soles of their feet, and that it is therefore their identity as loved by Andy that matters, that they are able to discover new purpose in who they are. Eventually, they escape and are reunited with Andy and the other toys. Toy Story is not written explicitly from a Christian perspective, but the message that our identity lies not in what we can do or what others think of us, but in who loves us and to whom we belong is a profoundly Christian one. In Isaiah chapter 49, Israel complains, "The Lord has forsaken me, the Lord has forgotten me." And God replies, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." The similarities are striking. So as we watch and reflect on Toy Story, we might want to think about our own sense of identity, especially ones that maybe are deeply rooted in our childhood. So here are some questions that we might want to think about in our small groups. First, Woody is very conscious of his relationship with Andy and is jealous of anyone taking his place in Andy's affections. Ironically, Buzz has little or no concept of that Andy even exists and is entirely taken up with his own status and purpose. How do you think Woody and Buzz might represent different human attitudes towards God? Second, where does your sense of identity come from? Is it from family upbringing, from a sense of achievement, or even past failures? Have you ever had that sense of identity challenged, perhaps like Woody or Buzz? And how did you find that experience? Thirdly, get your Bibles out and read John chapter 8, verses 31 to 38. The Jews of Jesus' time were resting on their identity as Abraham's descendants. Yet Jesus offers them a new kind of freedom. What do you think it means to be set free by Jesus? And how does knowing Jesus and knowing the freedom that Jesus brings change our sense of identity? And finally, one of the reasons that the Toy Story films have been so successful, there have been 4 of them now, is that it taps into a deep-rooted adult desire to return to a mythical childhood. Toy Story itself has a narrative arc similar to that of the prodigal son and other homecoming stories. How, as Christians, do you think we should understand the tensions between a love of childhood and a growth into maturity? And in thinking about that, you might want to look at Mark chapter 10, 13 to 16, and 1 Corinthians 13, 11 to 12.